Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer, and today we'll be discussing how to build a web marketing team with the co-founder and CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Web marketing's new and it's risen rapidly. There's more of it than ever. It's a big buzzword out on the internet now, but it's not taught in colleges. It seems everybody does it differently. There's no specific set way to do web marketing.
Right.
Now, how does this impact on how companies manage their web efforts and how each company handles it?
Well, the end result is that many companies struggle with understanding how to set up a web marketing team. And a lot of times this happens because they put the wrong skill set in the function. And this is because of the unique differences between technology, design, and marketing, and all the personalities and issues that come up that can lead to problems and control issues and so forth.
What would be an example of that?
Well, the design, the design issues that come up with the website are very different from the technology issues, which are very different from the marketing issues. And you have to figure out, well, who's in charge of this? Who's making the final say? And how do we have someone who's a technology person running a marketing department, or a marketing person making technology decisions? All of that leads to problems and control issues. In fact, it's pretty safe to say that this is really the biggest problem today for businesses as they attempt to make their website work for them. And managers are at fault too, and it's important to understand that managers tend to give too much power to things they don't understand. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. A manager, for example, gives way too much power to the IT function because in many cases they don't understand what they do. They can do the same with a design group. The important thing to understand here is that both IT and design are support functions that lend themselves to the strategic marketing direction of the company. And key managers need to see that. And just because they don't understand what happens in the IT department doesn't mean they can't see this as a support function and have management and control over that.
So really what you're saying is the IT department should write the code and do the programming, the design team should design, and the marketing team should market.
That's right.
Doing what their job functions actually are.
Do what their job functions actually are. And the key thing here is, where is the direction coming from? And the management team should provide the strategic direction, and everybody else needs to get on board, and they're really playing support roles to that.
So when the management team comes up and is putting together a new marketing team, what exactly are the roles? What are roles that make up a really good marketing team for web?
Well, we work with many clients around the country, and we tend to work with the middle America type business, medium-sized companies. They're usually not big enough to have a board of directors. They're not usually publicly traded. Some are, but not most of them. And so they really struggle with, how do we do this thing on the web? We hear this from IT, we hear this from design, we hear this from marketing. So what we've done is come up with 8 different job positions that we feel are essential to having a successful website. Now, you can look at it as these are the hats that people wear. Now, some people will wear more than one hat depending on the size of your business. But these 8 positions will define your web marketing team. So let me list the 8 positions for you, and then we'll come back and do a recap and get into more detail. If you've got a pencil and paper, this will be a good time to take notes.
Okay.
The first one's an internet marketing director, basically the manager of this whole project. The second one is the internet project manager or coordinator. The third is an internet marketing specialist. The fourth is a web research manager, website research manager. The fifth is a content person responsible mostly for writing. Sixth is photography and other visual aids like video or even audio. The seventh is graphic design. And finally, the 8th is technology.
Well, you had mentioned the first and foremost was the web director. I don't know, do we call that person the web guru?
Well, it's funny. That's a good question. They may not be a guru, but they are the one that should have the final say. And it's important to understand that we believe that having a website is not really a democracy, okay? That somebody has to have final control. Someone has to finally say, this is the way we're doing it. You have to make the decision based on everyone's input. So the internet marketing director or president or vice president or whatever title ends up being, they provide overall direction. They probably will report to upper management, maybe even the CEO. And I see these folks more coming from the marketing department as opposed to like the IT or design department. They set the budget for the website, which controls a lot of what's going to happen. And they're really responsible then for signing off on the final strategy.
Okay.
The second position is a kind of a project coordinator position, or internet project manager. They coordinate all the activities and communications on the team. Now, when you build a website, there are so many things that need to happen as far as coordinating this, getting information to this person, having information come back, an approval process, all of those things. This is what the internet project coordinator or manager does.
And that person would report directly to the web director.
If you had, if they, a lot of times the web director wears both hats, but yes, in this case, if you had the budget, they would report to the director and assist them in coordinating all these activities.
That way you kind of eliminate the micromanaging aspect of the web team.
There's a lot of scheduling. There's a lot of things like that go on. The third area is the internet marketing person, and this is a critical position. And what they do is they're responsible for driving traffic. Their bottom line is, let's get traffic into this website through, work with the search engines, paid positioning, emails, affiliates, banner ads, link exchanges, anything that drives traffic to the website would be a part of the internet marketing specialist job.
Now, would that also include marketing for, let's say, print advertising and things driving users to the web as well?
Well, that's a good question. It could include that, but in a lot of cases, that the internet marketing specialist will coordinate those activities with someone in the marketing team that's doing them already. Then the next position is a web research manager. This person's responsibility is to gather feedback from users, analyze web stats, prepare data that reports findings, and then make suggestions, recommendations to the web marketing team based on their research. So this position is actually a fascinating job because you're looking at hard, cold data and facts, but then you're also talking to users and trying to make sense of what they need and what their desires are when they come to your website.
So they're really working on usability and making it a great experience for the visitor that comes in.
Yeah, they would run usability testing. They would do surveys. They would get into the web stats programs and analyze those sorts of things. But it's also important that this person has the ability to make recommendations based on those findings. Because the internet marketing director is going to need everyone on the team to do that, especially the web research manager. When they see a trend or they see something happening, they need to make recommendations based on that.
Now, we also, for people that are looking at the web research manager position, we did do a previous podcast that was Understanding the Web Visitor, and I know you can download that after we're done with this podcast and check it out and really go back. If you've listened to it already, you can listen to it again and really implement those ideas for that particular position.
Absolutely, and we did a podcast on market research in general on the web. The next one is the content, and this is the person that's going to write for the website. Now, there are a lot of people out there that call themselves writers, professional writers, business writers, or whatever. It's a very unique skill set to be able to write for the web, because what you're doing is writing for people that scan text and not read it. And in fact, text can be some of the worst clutter ever on a website. And so what you want to do is have someone that can write probably in about half the amount of words that a normal writer would write in. So if you take brochure copy, for example, if that brochure copy is going to a website, cut it in half or more and put it in bullet items and make it scannable.
Now as far as content, you can always put content deeper in other pages,
and then you can have deeper content within the site. But that's one of the biggest mistakes that people that manage websites do is they just take brochure copy and they throw it on a website. It's an easy out to get that done, but it's not effective for the users. And then we start to transition into photography and the whole concept of visual and audio production on a website. Photography being the most common. This photographer, is probably going to be outsourced more than likely, but the photographer needs to once again be able to produce for the web the kind of photos that need to be on the web.
Now, what do you think as far as being able to utilize stock photography from sources such as Corbis and other online stock photography places?
Well, stock photography is really a part of graphic design, which is the next job function that I wanted to get to. And when you think about stock photography, the key issue that you're going to find here is that it might be seen on other websites. stock photos that are good are picked up by graphic designers and they're used on multiple websites. We would much rather see unique photography that captures the image and essence of your business as opposed to stock photography.
Now, the photo guy is also the person responsible for photography. Would it be probably more appropriate to name that multimedia?
I think that's a good point. I think where the web is heading today, that would be a good definition. So this multimedia position could then be, essentially responsible for photography, video, audio, and maybe even flash. Now this seventh position, the graphic design position, these are the folks that do the logo and the colors and the design elements within a website. The key thing here, once again, is that what the graphic designer does needs to tie into the usability of the site, because graphic design is also one of the things that can clutter up a website and get in the way of a user getting what they need. And then finally, technology. And of course, technology is the structure for the site, how it operates, the hosting, the e-commerce, HTML and the coding and so forth. Technology, once again, is a support function in the role of the web. And still today, one of the biggest mistakes made by most websites is that they put technology in the lead role as opposed to a support role. And so we want to stress here in this podcast that technology people, graphic design, photographers, content people, all of these folks support the vision set by this internet marketing director.
Okay. So we've got those eight different pieces to the web team: the web director, the internet project manager, the internet marketer, the web research manager, the content provider or writer. We have the photographer, or should I say the multimedia manager.
Multimedia, sure.
We have graphic designers, and we have the technology functions, which are typically the IT department.
Right.
Now, obviously, most companies and most small businesses are not going to have a budget to have all of these people. So I'm making some assumptions here that people are going to wear more than one hat.
Absolutely, and you've got to know when to outsource.
And so when you're looking at that, I guess let's talk about some outsourcing here, because if I'm going to look at myself and say, okay, well, I'm going to be a web designer and I want a new website, but yet I'm a business of 3 people. I have 3 people that work for my company. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, it's probably going to be me that's going to be doing all the website design.
Right. Yeah. Here's the thing about outsourcing.
What do I outsource? And if I have an idea, it's like, hey, I've got a good eye, I can do some of the things, but what exactly do I outsource, or could I outsource?
There's a few key things when you think about outsourcing, and actually, this web team that we've just discussed is going to be out of the budget range for many companies, even larger businesses, because they haven't been able to build the ROI off their website yet to get there. So the best thing to do is to look at the specialty tasks, the tasks that are very clearly defined as unique skill sets, like search engine marketing, for example.
And that would be more optimization to be able to get higher rankings on the,
right, or
on
running
the search
a paid
engines.
listing program, whatever. Those are the things that are really best outsourced. Market research should be outsourced at times, not always, but at times, because then you can avoid the bias and you get some feedback that's a little bit more pure than if it's done internally with that internal bias. Some tasks, and a lot of tasks on the web, begin by outsourcing, and then they move in-house. In fact, there's a big movement now on the web toward content management systems, or CMS. So once you launch your website and get all the initial work done on an outsourced basis, everything's maintained internally by your web team.
Would that be more like template-based, where you would outsource a company to design a template for your company's website, and then you just update content or the text, should I say?
Right. You hire a designer to do the template, and then the text and the photography and other visual elements are updated internally.
Okay.
Now, I know most middle-sized companies have an IT department, so that as long as the IT department can support, then they should remain as an internal function. And the bottom line too is that all of these things have to be learned. I mean, a company and the company's culture needs to learn these things. That's one of the reasons we're doing these podcasts. We want to get this information out to businesses in general. Use consultants to help you learn these things, and then move them internally.
Now, as far as consultants, you mentioned, would that be the same as when you outsource to a web marketing company? would that be the same as a consultant? Would you use that same marketing team as a consultant, or would you have another company consult and then hire outsource a web marketing team?
Well, I think it's probably a good idea that if you have a consultant you're working with, to have them work directly with the director of the website and have them be the key lead to bring in other subs to work on the project. And then as this is all going on, the key director or manager should be trained on how to do this.
Well, I guess my question is, as far as the consultant's concerned, like let's take Intuitive Websites. If a company was to outsource to you for their website and says, look, we would like to come to you and have you design our website, do our web marketing, would you also act as a consultant on that, or would somebody go to another company, hire a consultant that would then hire you? Does that make sense?
Well, we provide a comprehensive solution, but we're a little bit unique in that we do that. We can bring to the table all of the elements that we've mentioned here, and it's one of the things we've done about our business is set it up to run that way. But as you start to get into the marketplace, you'll find that different subs and different types of businesses focus on one of the 8 areas. So really, in some ways, the key thing is it's more important to make sure you've got the right skill set in the right position. You don't want, once again, you don't want the graphic designer functioning as the internet marketing director. You don't want, technology shouldn't be doing that. So that's probably what's more important for you as you think about marketing your business online.
And that's what I guess for most users that are looking, that are new to this, they're going to try to find the best way to get the biggest bang for their buck when they outsource. And so that's really, I think, the biggest concern that people have is, where do you start? How do you go out about doing that? Do you find an internet marketing consultant, or do you go to a firm that does internet marketing with design? I guess that would be more of my question. Where should somebody start?
Well, I think you always start with the actual internet marketing plan, and that lays the groundwork. And we actually have a podcast on internet marketing plans, and within that plan, you certainly can lay out the different players and their key roles. So, and there's really, when you think about it, you can take those 8 roles and you can put them into 4 categories, and those categories are marketing, design, technology, and project management.
So if you've done your homework and you've done the internet marketing plan, you'll know exactly where you need to go. If you need to hire a consultant or go to a firm, if you've done all the work already.
Absolutely.
So do your homework and do the plan.
Absolutely.
Well, how is it different between small companies and big companies? Let's take a moment on that, because obviously our listeners are broad throughout the spectrum. Some people are large companies, some people are companies of one. Mm-hmm. Let's talk to both of those audiences about outsourcing.
Well, in some ways, it works the same, no matter what size company you are, because you still need those 8 functions. Really, the key thing here is going to be how many hats people wear, how much you outsource, and how much you keep internally, and that you make sure that you've got the right hat on the right person in the right seat on the bus, or whatever you want to call it. You got to just make sure that people fill the gap they need to fill based on their skill sets, and you don't ask someone to do something that isn't in their skill set. And then finally, keep in mind that someone's got to be the final decision maker, and they need to be trained and up to speed so they can make those decisions.
So what would be our action plan for today? We always end with an action plan. What is today's action plan?
Well, I think number one is that if you're winging it and you're just throwing it together and kind of ad-libbing your web marketing team, you got to stop doing that, because it's showing up in the results on your website. You need to listen again to this podcast, jot down those 8 functions, and put people in the right slots. Put the right hats on the right people. And it doesn't matter if you're a billion-dollar company or a company of one, you're still going to be doing these things. Identify and evaluate the internal skills you have in your business, and then look at what can be outsourced, what should remain internal, what can be outsourced as a launch platform, and that what can be brought internal to maintain and keep the website running. Basically planning. And then finally, take a look at who's going to be doing the marketing, who's going to be doing design, technology, and project management, because those 4 areas are really the key distinctions in putting together a web marketing team.
You heard it, folks. Get busy on those action items. This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. For more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitivewebsites.com.